going on, Jerome's? It's a beautiful Thursday. Birds are chirping and stuff, and it's time for another Vikings news dump. He sees you when you're pooping. It's good times, man. So, I like to have random like background TV shows I've seen a bajillion times before running when I'm recording videos or doing actual work and stuff. And Sons of Anarchy right now, it's the early episode where they hide the guns in the septic tank, and then they just... Yeah, he sees you when you're pooping. First up, so Josh Allen, the good one, edge rusher for the Jaguars, signed a brand new deal. He got himself paid. Schefter, Josh Allen reached agreement on a 5-year, $150 million contract that includes $88 million guaranteed, sources tell ESPN. Allen had a Jaguars franchise record 17.5 sacks last season. The deal was negotiated by William Morris Endeavor Sports. So Josh Allen absolutely busted out last season and proved why he is so highly coveted and sought after. You know, the Pride Kentucky really getting after things. And the whole thing about it, too, is like, yes, a true talisman on the edge can be a game changer and a guy who will rack up and stack up stats as well as get pressures, disrupt things, as well as set the edge against run. It's fantastic. But going back to Kwesi's Moneyball thing. So Josh Allen now is just getting north of $28 million per year. Right, but also once that full guarantee kicks in, it'll basically average out to about $30 million per year. So just for ease of math, we'll say it's 30. Now, Jonathan Grenard, as well as Andrew Van Ginkel, Grenard having 12.5 sacks last year, and Van Ginkel being an all-purpose linebacker / edge rusher, beep bop bop boop. Average per season of the respective 4- and 2-year contracts combined is $29 million. So it is the Moneyball thing where, hey, we're going to replace Jason Giambi with Scott Hattenberg and like 7 other dudes. It's basically what we're doing in this spot. But I do believe in the talent in Grenard, as well as I can't wait to see Van Ginkel. Love his versatility, love his attitude, love his style. I think Brian Flores is going to do great things on him. Now, don't get me wrong. Josh Allen is a monster stud, but in terms of roster construction, I'll take 2 pulls at this thing in free agency versus just 1. Also, speaking of pulls, so you know this is coming. Right. Well, so first off, there was finally a mock draft where Caleb Williams wasn't one. I think it was a Bleacher Report one. Shocker. Right. But Purple Persuasion pointing out that BG Whitefield over at Fantasy Points. So they did up their draft guide, and I opened it. I checked it out. And their quarterback 1, JJ McCarthy. So has McCarthy as quarterback 1 of the draft class, worthy being selected number 1 overall. Quote, he is my quarterback 1 in this class. I get glimpses of John Elway and Rich Gannon when I watch his tape. McCarthy is worthy of the first overall pick. Now, John Elway might have the best arm of any quarterback ever. Like, I feel like John Elway and Dan Marino could have a running gun battle of who has the best arm in history, right? Rich Gannon. So Rich Gannon, formerly of the Vikings, obviously from back in the day, so did have some mobility, didn't have the strongest arm in the world, but operated that Gruden West Coast offense with aplomb, was the 2002 NFL MVP at age 38, and all that. Wait, no. Yeah, it was Callahan by that time. Because 2002 was after the Raiders traded Gruden to the Bucks, and then they played in the Super Bowl. Anyways, but... that's I feel like that's a little bit hyperbolic. All right, calling JJ McCarthy a cross between Elway and Rich Gannon. I mean, sure, does he have traits? Sure, could he scale them? Yes, all of those things. But I don't know. Like I love me some JJ McCarthy, but putting him, given your choice, say the number 1 overall pick, you weren't even the Bears. You're just some random team. Williams, May, Daniels, McCarthy. Be really hard to pass up Caleb Williams, man. It would be kind of rough. But anyways, but we have hit peak offseason or peak that this dead period between free agency and the draft. We really have, man. Oh, speaking of which, so speaking of Jaden Daniels, rap sheet, LSU quarterback and Heisman Trophy winner Jaden Daniels is set to meet with the Giants on Monday for a top 30 visit per his agent. New York Giants continue to do homework on the top quarterbacks. Now, really? So this, of course, goes back to the Vikings and Jaden Daniels either unwilling or unable to work out a meeting. Now, they're originally going to meet after his pro day. That did not work out and all of that. But things that make you go, So Daniels, who before had met with Washington as well as the Patriots, picking at 2 and 3. Now, that does make sense. Where the Giants are at 6. Now, do the Giants have eyes to trade up? maybe. And we theorized before that one of the reasons why maybe Daniels wouldn't want to meet with the Vikings, even though they're his guy, Justin Jefferson's team, is that, hey, we're only going to meet with teams that are either drafting in the top 3, because that's where Jaden is going, or could potentially move into the top 3. Now, the move up for the Vikings, I mean, it's a little bit dicey, even with 2 first-round picks, because the jump from 11 up to 3, kind of tough. But the Giants from 6 into 2 or 3 certainly could be a possibility, although I doubt that Washington would do business in division with the Giants, right? So maybe that's what Jaden Daniels is thinking at this point, but I don't know, man. I feel... So obviously, since we're a Vikings fan, we just take every single possible slight as disrespect, and that's what we're going to do. That's right. Something that we're going to do is, if and when the Vikings have themselves an alternate uniform, alternate kit, we are in. But yesterday, we did a whole video on this. The NFL approved teams to have a third helmet design starting in 2025. So that opens up the floodgates for alternate uniforms and all that stuff. And all the concept uniforms look good. Or maybe Justin Jefferson just makes the Vikings uniform look good. But so the black helmet with the yellow face mask with the black jerseys, we said that looks really damn tight. But also, I feel like we're encroaching on Ravens territory at this point. But also, so the Vikings have made a big to-do about that. Hey, we have the all-white uniforms in Christmas Eve and Christmas Day game. But the white helmet, my God, that looks good. Maybe you don't even need the purple. You don't even need the purple horns. Maybe just a standard horn, maybe with a purple silhouette. Sure, but I don't know. But that looks really good. So I'm glad that the NFL is finally doing this. I'm shocked that they don't adopt using throwbacks as much as possible, using alternate uniforms as much as possible, tweaking uniforms every single year, because isn't the name of the game selling merch? And just as many different uniform combinations as possible, people are in. Look at Oregon. Look at the Premier League. Look at the NBA. That's what they need, man. Someone we did need is Deestroying. Donald DeLahaye should be a Viking, but so really excited to see him get a chance in the UFL. San Antonio Brahmas. He was a kickoff specialist. They didn't have him kick field goals yet, but he made a big-time tackle on a kickoff, but did not have good form. He did not see what he hit, and Deestroying is having a tough go of it. So tweeted this out with a picture of him in a neck brace. Just left the doc. He said, I have multiple fractures in one of my vertebrae, a sprained ligament, and a couple bulging discs. He said, I'm a lucky man because it could have been way worse. God is good. I'm just going to be stuck in a neck brace for the next 3 months. And that sucks, man. It does suck. Like Deestroying, I think that he's an amazing kicker. I love his personality, love his channel, love everything that he does. But yeah, it sucks because I was thinking that, hey, maybe he could parlay this UFL experience into an NFL tryout at minimum, but it doesn't look like it's in the cards right now. So prayers up. Hopefully Deestroying heals up fast as well and gets back on that field. Speaking of on the field, a guy who wasn't really on the field the last couple of years. Yeah. So Trayon Burks. Trayon Burks was a first-round pick by the Tennessee Titans 2 years ago, number 18 overall, coming out of Arkansas, but it hasn't clicked. It hasn't quite worked out. Trayon Davenport, a fantastic beat writer for the Tennessee Titans. When asked about the wide receiver group, new head coach Brian Callahan mentioned how the Titans need someone to emerge as a slot receiver. He pointed to Kyle Phillips, Mason Kinsey, Nick Westbrook, King, but no mention of Trayon Burks. And yes, they also threw a ton of money at Calvin Ridley this offseason too. And also they do have Nuke Hopkins. But, I mean, Burks came in and basically he was seen as an A.J. Brown clone. And not just because he was taking over the Titans after the Titans traded Brown to the Eagles, but physicality. I mean, 6'3", 225, contested catch, jump ball, big-time catch radius, go up and go get it, but it hasn't clicked. Like, he has one career touchdown, 49 career catches, and it just hasn't gotten done as of yet. Now, could this mean that he's available for trade? And, of course, we know that Kwesi loves the mama I can change him type players, and the Vikings do have 7 day 3 selections. And if the Titans and new head coach Brian Callahan are completely done, are completely over Trayon Burks, but Trayon Burks for a conditional 7th, and if he plays 30% of the snaps, it turns into a 6. Go ahead. Go ahead. We'd do that thing because I do think that the Vikings do have a role for a power possession receiver to go along with the high flying Jefferson as well as Addison. And again, I'm just trying to pick up every failed first round pick because eventually things could work. I mean, failed first round pick Sam Darnold throwing the failed first round pick Trayon Burks. Let's go. Speaking of failed picks and the UFL, so James Larson, Pro Football Network, breaking San Antonio Brahmas have signed defensive back Cameron Hold Me Closer, Tiny Dancer. Dancer needs no introduction, having been an NFL starter with the Minnesota Vikings for a couple years. Just a tremendous pickup for the Brahmas secondary. #UFL. Now, Dancer came in, third-round pick in 2020, and yeah, super lean, super mean, but I mean, Dancer just didn't work out. The pride of Mississippi State, he just, for whatever reason, like he had some flashes, he had some downs, and it didn't work out. And they bounced around the league for a little bit. Actually, I think he was on 4 different teams in like 90 days or something like that. But rooting for Dancer to get out to the UFL, put some good tape on, maybe ends up on a 90-man roster, ends up in a camp somewhere, and then goes from there. But that's it. Your thoughts are our thoughts. Vikings Thursday news dump. You guys are the best you know what to do. Skull production value.